Supercross Series. Only Emig, Huffman, or Hughes can win the title now. And Emig sits atop the field. Jeff Emig, Larry Ward, Damon Huffman, Jeremy McGrath, Greg Albertine. All winners. Stand by as we take one step closer. From the Flexpo in Geneva, Switzerland. Hello, everyone. Art Ekman along with Bob Marcia sitting in for the under-the-weather David Bailey for round number 6 of our FIM World Supercross Series. Interesting phenomenon here in this series is that we've had a winner, a different winner, each race, Bob.
It's been an exciting series, Art, and as you can see, they do know how to put on a show here in Europe.
Where Barcy in Paris is a show, Geneva is really more of a carnival atmosphere with vendor booths located outside what is a huge exhibition area. And we're ready now for our first heat here in the round 6 from Geneva.
Here's a look at our race format. Heat semis on the last chance qualifier. Only 8 laps in the heats and semis. You can imagine these riders are going to try to transfer, oh my word, directly into the main so they don't have to ride all those extra laps.
Qualifying for a specific gate position isn't quite as important here in Europe as it is in the United States AMA Supercross Series. But of course, you don't want to get too lax and not make it to the main event and place out of the money. They don't get start money here in Geneva, and they haven't on the entire World Supercross Series, unlike previous years. Heat number 1 underway, number 15, Michael Craig, inside, gets the whole shot. That's Emig that goes down. He's probably going to have to go to the semis now in this 8-lap race.
It was going to be interesting no matter what happened in that first corner. It is so tight in that left-hander. Some riders choosing the inside, some taking the outside. Emig kind of goes down the inside, but he's in the second lane toward the middle. Contact, and down he goes.
In second place in good position, number 9, Ryan Hughes, his teammate. But it's Honda of Troy's Michael Craig out in front, number 15. That's a 97 engine he's got on a 96 frame.
A lot of next year's technology at work here in the Supercross Series. As you can see, this course is very tight. All those white wrappings on the hay bales out there make for a very confusing course. You got to stay on top of your game. The laps are short. There's not many of them. Concentrate.
Cyril Porte, the Frenchman's in third place as we see now the battle for first. Hughes taking on Michael Craig, gets the good inside block pass.
Good example right there of just how tight this course is, Art. Both riders came to a complete stop. Watch this again. Shooting down this short straightaway. The bike's hardly ever out of first or second gear. Down the inside, block pass, full stop, turn, and squirt.
The aggressive style of Ryan Hughes, number 9. You know, with a different winner each race so far, Bob, it's unusual, really, not to see Ryan Hughes in the win column so far. He's performed very well here in the opening heat, that's for sure. Michael Craig not letting him off the hook, though. Craig coming off an independent race of last week where he just swept everything, led all 50 laps for the 2 nights, and took the overall over Jeremy McGrath.
Good look there at Ryan Hughes, crowned the King of Bercy earlier in the World Supercross Series. Didn't win a race, but second, fourth, and second place finishes. Picked up that coveted title. A race within the World Supercross Series at Bercy in Paris.
And Bob, that was a real boost of confidence for Ryan, who's been trying to get things together ever since that injury in the Supercross in Charlotte, and has had a real rough rehabilitation time coming back from the broken jaw. But he's certainly on his wheels right now, an aggressive style that we're used to seeing him. It was remarkable to see him come back to take that second place in Paris in the 3rd race in Paris, because he had a monumental crash that sent him over the bars and landed on his feet, but he didn't know he was in the stadium when he landed.
I was about to say, looked like Michael Craig was closing up on the jumps, taking huge air off the many jumps on this circuit. Very different lines between the 2 riders, and right now, no question, Ryan Hughes has the better line, although he appears to be taking more of the bumps. Hughes going around him and losing time.
Hughes, the only one with really a good chance of catching Emig for the title here in Geneva, the overall championship, leading this heat while Emig is having a tough time getting up through the pack. Hughes, Craig, and Porte, our top 3. They're in good position to go to the main when we come back.
Stay tuned and find out how to get a live-action combat video from Time Life for just $9.99.
This is a story you haven't heard before. You'll get nearly an hour of live-action footage, all for the special one-time only price of $9.99. Later on, you can see the complete story of tanks, helicopters, and other weapons. Keep only those you want. Some people think this is the age of the push-button war. Some people think that heroes are a thing of the past. Some people are wrong. Call now for Brute Force.
To order Brute Force, call 1-800-924-1188. That's 1-800-924-1188. Or send $9.99 plus $3.49 shipping and handling to Brute Force, Department 3, Richmond, Virginia, 23280.
Welcome back to round 6 of the World Supercross Series. We're in qualifying heat number 1. Approaching the final lap, it's Ryan Hughes, number 9, from Team Kawasaki in the lead. Michael Craig, Honda of Troy, in second place. Still on his tail a bit, though, but Ryan's holding his own. The big movement has been Jimmy Button, the independent rider who's going to ride for Chaparral next year, has moved into third around the Frenchman Port. Those three in line to qualify directly to the main out of this qualifying heat.
Well, you've got to be impressed with the way Ryan Hughes is riding here, Art. He's attacking the course, has a great line, getting great air off the jumps. Really, Michael Craig can't do anything with him.
Here's the final lap underway in our 8-lap qualifier. A near sellout crowd here on the first night at Geneva. The final round, though, of the World Supercross Series is a total sellout tomorrow night.
With good reason, Art. It's been a great series thus far, a different winner in every round, and a great opportunity to see the U.S. stars up against the young Europeans like Sebastian Tortelli we'll be seeing later on.
What's always interesting about the World Supercross Series as well, those riders that don't really get into championship competition in the AMA Supercross Series really hang it loose here. This is where they make their money, and they really feel relaxed, and some of the bigger named riders aren't that anxious really to compete.
In fact, some of the big name riders aren't even here. I'm thinking of guys like Jeremy McGrath as you watch Ryan Hughes take the checkered flag.
Michael Craig with a spectacular layout in second place. Jimmy Button also going to the main to the semifinals. Emig, Swink, Nielsen out of Sweden, and Doug Moore out of South Africa. Two very fine foreign riders that will be going to the semifinals to try to qualify for the main event. Here in heat number 2, we've got Pichon and Tortelli. That should be a good rival matchup of Frenchmen, as Geneva's actually surrounded by French territory.
Everybody's so high on teenager Sebastian Tortelli, who won the World Motocross 125 class in his first attempt, dominated the season. Goes to high school in Paris, where he's given time off to pursue his career. He'll be racing on the U.S. Supercross Series in the 125 on a limited schedule in 1997.
Notice here in Europe, they're getting a little bit of rolling start with the gate coming down. It's John Dowd, number 14, getting the whole shot. The Team Yamaha rider much more satisfied with the motor here in Geneva than the one he had in Paris that was brought over from the States. John Dowd is our leader, with Huffman, number 4, in pursuit. And number 7 is Mikel Pichon. Moving over to Team Suzuki this year. This offseason has been his first attempt at riding a Suzuki.
And he's under a lot of pressure here, Art. Racing on home soil, wants to do well in front of the home fans. But Mikel Pichon is suffering from a chronic fatigue syndrome. He's on a special diet, special exercises, looking ahead at a full season of 250 Supercross action. He really wants to do well here.
Number 3, coming to the inside, is Tortelli. And number 12 is Phil Lawrence, an American, in 5th spot. John Dowd, our leader here in our second qualifying heat. Mikel Pichon moving into 2nd place. The French teenager Tortelli in 3rd, with Huffman in 4th. Pichon making the inside move, has taken the lead over from John Dowd, and here comes Tortelli. Tortelli putting the pressure on number 14. Can he get into 2nd place? Tortelli. Oh, this is going to bring the French alive.
Coming up that long backstretch full of jumps, the teenager Tortelli riding with so much poise, going around Dowd. He's going to be a revelation in North America this winter.
Here you have Mikel Pichon, who left France to race in the United States against the teenager Tortelli, who has taken over much of the fame that Pichon had before he left.
Wouldn't be surprised if there's a little sort of intramural rivalry between those two. Pichon, the French sensation of years past, and Tortelli, the man of today.
Mikel Pichon was telling me, Bob, I've been away too long. Tortelli's taken over my fans.
As Mikel Pichon did for the man who preceded him, Jean-Michel Bayle.
Pichon, our leader here in the heat, but Tortelli is going to pick his spots. Tortelli's been disappointed about his performance in this particular series. He's been fast enough, but he's been on the ground more than he would like, giving up very valuable positions because he's been very competitive as far as a podium spot is concerned.
Right now, he looks to be riding maybe a little bit conservatively, is Tortelli. Remember, he only needs one of those top 3 spots to transfer directly into the main. Doesn't need to win the race. Got himself out of the bump spot in 3rd, now safely in 2nd. He may be happy just to stay there.
Shown the classic French style, a very smooth technique, which is important on a course like this, especially on the backstretch. This backstretch can be taken about a dozen different ways. Can Huffman make a challenge? Only the top 3 go directly to the main event. We'll be back with the finish of our 2nd qualifying heat from Geneva right after this.
What does it take to be the best? To get to the top, you must conquer fear.
Finishing up our 2nd qualifying heat here from Geneva, Switzerland, the first of 2 nights in Geneva to finish up our World Supercross Series. Currently, we've got a battle going on now with Mikel Pichon and number 3, Sebastian Tortelli. Sebastian Tortelli has picked up on the leader, Pichon.
Just as I thought, Sebastian Tortelli might be taking a conservative line. Problems for Pichon on the yellow number 7, and Tortelli shoots through.
Tortelli looking back, this is what he would have seen if he'd had time to look at Pichon. The front wheel buries in there. It's lucky he stayed upright.
Absolutely. Pichon had to get off of it, and Tortelli right there, a quick look over his shoulder. I am gone.
This is the last lap. Tortelli the leader, and the fans are going crazy. Sebastian Tortelli, whose best finish on the year was a podium in the first Paris race, taking a 3rd place. Here comes Pichon showing him a wheel coming back. The final lap is underway.
Looking at the back of that lap board, there's a 2 on this side, but I assure you there's a 1 on the other, and these guys know it. Here comes Pichon back.
Pichon passed Tortelli where Tortelli had got him before. A lapper helping Pichon's cause as well, which is part of the action on these shorter courses.
No question about it. Traffic a part of these circuits. The lap averages just a little over 40 seconds here. That is very short by Supercross standards, and there is a lot of lapping going on.
What a great race for these European fans. Our 2nd heat, a battle between Mikel Pichon and Sebastian Tortelli, both from France. And you can hear the public address system in the background. They call him Lulu. He's going crazy. Pichon, our winner, will go directly to the main along with Tortelli and Dow. Huffman will find himself going to the semifinal round.
So of our title contenders, Art, Ryan Hughes is the only man who advances directly to the main.
I've got a feeling, though, in this semifinal round, consisting of about 8 laps, that Jeff Emig will put himself in the proper place.
If he gets through that first corner this time.
That's true. Going down in the first qualifying heat, Jeff Emig, that pretty much put him into the semifinal qualifying round, and it's Emig taking the short course for the whole shot. Jeff Emig playing it smart, number 2. It's Lawrence, Port, and Chapman, a Swiss rider, in that order behind Emig. Phil Lawrence, number 12, the independent privateer who's had a very sour time of it in Paris, thinking that he was going to go home with a bucket full of money, I think. Phil really had a disappointing time there, trying to make up for it now here in Geneva. Out in front, Jeff Emig, though, running very smooth. Number 26 is Port.
This is what Jeff Emig wanted to do in that first heat race. Get out front, use the same line from the gate in this 2nd heat, but this time it worked. He's out front and able to control the pace.
Jeff would never use it as an excuse, but he's not feeling all that great here. In fact, most of the American riders that had a quick time zone change coming over to Geneva are really running tired. Of course, the last race a couple of weeks ago for most of them was in Tokyo. They stopped off at home for a little recreation and some rest. In fact, Emig, during his recreation period, came up with a black eye playing a softball game with a lot of his good buddies there in Southern California.
Well, it's a good point to bring up, Arts. There is so much travel involved in Supercross, back and forth, completely around the world. Even those of us moto journalists who travel a lot know how easy it is to pick up a bug on the road.
Here you see Emig on the Kawasaki. This is the first race in Europe that the Kawasaki's are not using their factory bikes. They did so at the beginning of the season for Fukuoka, as well as the 3 races in Paris. They actually shipped all the factory bikes intact to those areas. They got a big jump on the series. Here you got 3 Kawasaki's, 1, 2, and 3 in the points list.
Oh, that has to do just gobs for the rider's confidence, knowing you're on a bike that you know very well, considering you're running on the typical Supercross track, very unfamiliar, could be torturous the way some of these tracks are built. I'm sure it's a source of great comfort to guys like Jeff Emig that they're on their familiar mounts.
It took Emig's mechanic, Jerry Albrecht, about 2 days to assemble this bike because they bring over the suspension, they bring over the chains, they bring over all the special parts that make this a competitive bike.
Well, not to belabor the point, but Jeff Emig went out and won the very first race of the Supercross series this winter, so that probably says something about his confidence level on the bike.
And consistency all the way. In Paris, a 5th, a 2nd, and a 3rd place. Right now, he's gunning to get into the main out of the semifinal event with Phil Lawrence still in 2nd place, number 12.
What a year it's been for Jeff Emig, winning the 250 Outdoor National over Jeremy McGrath in very dramatic circumstances, riding like a champion in the series finale at Steel City as he needed to pick up the victory. Now he's in the driver's seat here in World Supercross. If he could win this title, what a year 1996 has been for him.
And Bob, we mentioned prior that some of the big name riders aren't as enthusiastic about this particular off-season series as they could be. That's not the case with Jeff Emig. He wants this title for his bio, that World Championship crown. And of course, Jeremy McGrath coming off 2 seasons of winning this series. It's always nice to show him, hey, Jeremy, I've arrived.
Of course, Jeremy McGrath not with us after hurting his back in one of the earlier rounds. He's not the only top rider who is not here.
And also, there's the Bologna Motor Show. And quite a bit of money changes hands to make an appearance there. And that's where Jeremy McGrath is this particular week, along with Greg Albertine, who incidentally had passport problems, couldn't get to Geneva.
Jeff Emig's bike really working well. As we mentioned earlier, the riders seldom get out of 2nd gear. Emig might be one of those guys who does on a track this tight. And boy, you spend a lot of time at high revs and low gears.
Yeah, Emig uses more gears than anyone else. Partially because he gets such quick starts, I think. During the regular season, the Supercross season last year, what a great whole shoot artist he became.
And that'll serve you particularly well in the indoor version of the sport, where the tracks are typically very tight, lots of turns and lots of jumps.
Even though Jeff Emig is leading the points, it looks like it might come down to the final evening as to who will be crowned the series champion. And that's nothing new to Jeff Emig. He won his 125 and 250 outdoors titles on the last race of the season. We'll be back.
Now is the perfect time to start weightlifting.
NHL Tonight, the most comprehensive nightly recap of the day's action, highlights, and stories in the NHL. Tuesday through Saturday at 11:30 or after the game. Only on ESPN2.
Welcome back to semifinal action. It's Jeff Emig, who crashed in his qualifying heat, forced to go to this semifinal round, who's just dominating things. Jeff Emig, Phil Lawrence in 2nd place, and the Frenchman Port in 3rd. As we go into the final lap, he's kind of cruising right now in overdrive.
Watching Jeff Emig's left hand, the clutch lever, not even being touched. He's got a solid grip on that handlebar. Some of the riders I know do have their fingers on the clutch levers. I'm not sure whether they're using them or not, but I assume they would be if they're grabbing it.
Most all of them keep the finger out extended. Seems a lot more relaxing for the forearms that way for a lot of riders. Not to mention to use that clutch at any second.
Jeff Emig looking comfortable. The crowd saluted every corner now as he approaches the checkered flag in this first semi.
So it's nothing more than a formality, really, for Jeff Emig here on the final lap. The checkers waving. Right behind him, Phil Lawrence. Means a lot to a privateer like Phil to get in there. Horton Guidard also going to the main event. We get set for the 2nd semifinal round, and of course another Kawasaki rider. We haven't seen him yet in the picture. Damon Huffman is in this one, trying to make it to the main event. Just about set to go. The card officials are a lot more attractive than the AMA Supercross series. Did you notice that, Bob?
Madam Dominatrix. Nobody will defy her when the time boards are up.
Ready to go. Some of them like to roll into the scene like you saw there at some of the Europeans. David Huffman with a great start, though. Comes off the throttle, takes the inside. Going down is Alexander Schneider. He's a Swiss rider there in turn 1. Wasn't that tight with that few riders either, but number 4, Damon Huffman, is right where he belongs. It's Brian Swank in second place, number 27. And Bethese, number 25, in third. Colin Dugmore in fourth out of South Africa. Damon Huffman has certainly come back from that vicious injury he suffered at the end of the Supercross season last year, having to rehab that ACL. But he's come back very strong. In fact, he has raced, he's traveled every weekend since Halloween to try to get back into shape for this upcoming Supercross season in America. In fact, he's a little bit tired, he said.
I would imagine he would be. Looking good right now, though. Riding nice and loose and relaxed.
Of course, Damon, the winner of the second round in Paris, after winning the semifinal round there, took off and had a great victory. His second international victory in this series, winning in Geneva last year.
In fact, aside from that victory, he's been third or fourth in every round, save the most recent event in Tokyo, where he finished 8th.
Damon Huffman has certainly shown his employers, Team Kawasaki, that he's getting ready for the 1997 season, which ought to prove immensely interesting. Jeremy McGrath really not satisfied with the bike that he ran in Paris. It was a little bit rigid for him. Of course, his mechanic Skip Norfolk was there with him as one of his final appearances before leaving that team.
And I think that's critical. The fact that Norfolk won't be there, knowing what Jeremy likes, won't be there to help with the development of the machine. That's going to be interesting to see how that situation plays out.
And there was ever a sense of confidence between those two that each one would take care of their individual responsibilities. And of course, the two got together back when Jeremy was with Team Green, just as a youngster. And so Jeremy really hasn't had another professional mechanic other than Skip Norfolk.
That was a tough decision for Skip. I spoke to him at the Honda Dealer Convention in Nashville. He's got a family now, just prefers not to spend all that time on the road, driving the van, working on the motorcycle, attending the races, and you really can't fault him for that.
No, I can't blame him at all. He's one of the very fine gentlemen in this game, and we certainly appreciate his cooperation through the years that we've been following Jeremy McGrath. Right now, the second semifinal round is Damon Huffman just on cruise control, really. Here he goes over the finish line jump. It looks like he's already won the way he lays it out there, approaching a very dangerous lapper who went down in the first turn, Schneider, a young inexperienced rider from Switzerland. They do have a Swiss championship race before these get underway, and some of the better riders are able to try and compete and get into the main event.
Schneider's been getting some big camera time. He was the factor in the previous race when Mikel Pichon went around Sebastian Tortelli. The guy they were lapping at the time was Schneider.
Reminder, 4 out of the semifinal round will make it directly to the main. We'll be back to see which 4 in a moment.
Can your radio do this? Listen to music. A big difference.
TV's a business. We're out to make money. During Sweeps Week, we'll try a lot of things.
We're filling in for Keith Olbermann and Dan Patrick because they're sick tonight.
Up next, Rebecca Lobo and Linda Cohn fight to the death.
And the winner of the American League West will be the Mariners. Thank you, George. In other news,
the truth is, we'll try almost anything, as long as it falls in the boundaries of good taste and journalistic integrity.
Welcome back to Geneva as we're rounding out our second semifinal round with Damon Huffman just taking away with it after the 2 qualifying heats and the 2 semis. You expect most, if not all, the Americans to already be in the main event, and that's the case here in Geneva tonight. Damon Huffman just flawless ever since getting the whole shot. Now he's entertaining the fans with 1 lap to go.
A layout every time over that big start finish line jump. Damon Huffman has been in control throughout. Once again, maybe riding with a little bit of anger at not getting out of the first heat. And right now, Nobody can touch him.
After an 8th place in Tokyo, most everybody had a weekend off before coming to Geneva. He went to Genoa, where he took a 3rd place behind McGrath and Craig. One thing you don't want to get caught up in is lappers here on your final lap.
Damon has the opportunity here to just coast to the finish line. He doesn't have to get close to anybody or risk any tough moves in the corners. This is a very tough track to pass on, so you don't want to make a mistake.
Damon Huffman, the checkered flag. And for some of the lappers, the only fun left.
Oh, here comes our friend, the Swiss Schneider. If he raced as well as he finished, he'd be world champion.
Brian Swank in 2nd place, Matthies in 3rd, and Doug Moore advancing to the main event. Also, 2 places coming out of the last chance qualifier, Xavier Fabre from France and Christian Chanton from Switzerland.
So our final is set. All of the Americans advanced, including our title contenders, Huffman, Emig, and Hughes. We'll be back.
Once in a while, if you're lucky, you get to see this. For just $19.95, you'll get amazing hits, KOs, and crunches, funniest basketball bloopers, funniest sports bloopers, the lighter side of sports, and the amazing Superstar Sports Quiz so you can challenge friends at your next sports get-together. And see classic footage of your favorite heroes in action, like Jolton Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak. Every scene is handpicked by ChoiceMart, so it's right on the mark. Right for you, right for the sports fan on your gift list. Race to the phone to take advantage of this exclusive TV offer and order your 5 hard-hitting videos for only $19.95. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee. Don't wait. You'll only be hurting yourself.
Call 1-800-732-0800 now to get the amazing sports video collection for you or your favorite sports fan. 5 incredible videos for one low price of $19.95 plus $4.95 shipping. That's a $75 retail value and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call now 1-800-732-0800.
We're now ready for the main event of round 6 of the World Supercross Series from Geneva, Switzerland, the Plexpo. Art Ekman, along with Bob Varsha, subbing for an under-the-weather David Bailey, and we wish him the best in a quick recovery.
No question about it. David, get well.
There you see Huffman, Jimmy Button, Jeff Emig, John Dowd. Look at Mikel Pichon. Look down the line. He had a little nervous look to him right now before the gate drops. Mikel Pichon, of course, advancing to the main event after a tremendous battle with his countryman, Sebastian Tortelli, which brought the fans right out of their seats. Number 7 right there on the end is Mikel Pichon. With so few at a starting gate here in the World Supercross Series, the actual placement on the gate isn't that important. As you see the second from the right, number 9, Hughes, he had to go to the last chance qualifier in Paris to get into the field and won the whole shot from the very outside position.
Well, the fields are not very large, and that certainly is a help. But still, it's interesting to watch the way the riders and their handlers prepare the starting position. By the way, I hear this is going to be mandatory dress on the AMA circuit next year for all the time card holders.
Oh, that'll look beautiful on some of those card holders. Main event time from Geneva, Switzerland. It all comes down to a title chase here in the final 2 rounds. Jeff Emig, 9 points over his teammate Hughes. Huffman, still a mathematical chance here in Geneva as they are off. And it is number 15, once again to the inside, Michael Craig. Down in the first turn is Brian Swank.
Man, that creates a logjam when one bike goes down, particularly laying across the racing line as it was.
Here's Craig, number 15. Number 14 is Dowd. 1 and 2 with Emig, number 2, making a move for second place. Tortelli is also in contention. But number 15, Michael Craig, with another great start. Be interesting to see if he can hold this pace against Jeff Emig. My guess is that Jeff Emig is right where he wants to be in second place. No one really around him. Go for a nice ride, capture the title, and leave Geneva with the trophy.
Well, we saw in the first heat that Ryan Hughes was up to the challenge of Michael Craig's great starts. Right now, Craig looks like he's in a great position to hold this.
And for Pichon and Huffman fans, they were victims of that traffic jam behind Swink going down in turn 1. They're way back there. Lawrence as well went down off camera.
Got another bike down there, local yellow flags. I couldn't see who it was. Right now, this is all about Michael Craig. He is simply rocketing away from Jeff Emig.
Michael Craig, He hasn't won yet in the series. We could have another different winner.
Here comes Emig. Remember, he's thinking title. He's perhaps not so worried about where Michael Craig is as where Huffman and Hughes are.
Number 36, that's Jimmy Button in third place. He's coming off a food poisoning battle. Spent all day Wednesday in a hospital, traveled on Thursday. Still a sick puppy. Doesn't know whether he has the strength enough to hang in there for that many laps. Here's Michael Craig, number 15, a big lead already. And lots of room behind Jeff Emig in second place as we watch number 15 come through this whoop section. Look at how he took that. Zooming over 4 and then with a little hippity hop at the end. I don't think anyone else is doing that so far this evening.
Well, he's dodging that last little bump. You can ride around it. Most of the riders have been trying to do it since you want to set up for a long left-hander anyway. You want to be right out by the hay bales. The other guys are hitting 3 and then 2. But you're right, Michael Craig taking 4 and then just the one last bump.
This track is actually twice as long as last year. They added a bushel basket of turns. The back straight, though, with all those different methods of going over the leaps and bounds, that's where some passing will be done, as well as in and out of the whoop section. But right now, there's no one near Craig to even try to pass. Jeff Emig in second place. He's right, as we mentioned, where he wants to be. The battle right here is Jimmy Button trying to hold on to third. Button coming off food poisoning. He was in the hospital all day Wednesday, had to travel on Thursday, trying to hold on. Craig, Emig, and Button are top 3 now. As we're at the main event of round 6, we'll be back with more action.
Hi, I'm Andy Mill. Competing in the Olympics is one of the great moments of my
Sigarani battles Ross Thompson tonight at 9:30, only on ESPN2.
We are back in Geneva, Switzerland. Art Ekman along with Bob Varsha, and it's Michael Craig way out in front here in the main event. Here's Jeff Emig in the second spot. He's just cruising, wanting that championship trophy. We might mention that out of our camera shot, several moves are being made. Tortelli, for instance, coming from the 7th spot.
He's up in there. Oh, he got a rider down. This is Colin Dugmore, the South African.
Under the bike.
Well, that is well and truly down.
Track workers are out in the middle of the track, though. Look out, fans. They're going to come around that corner pretty quick.
See, we don't need people running around. What you need are guys out there with yellow flags telling the riders which way to go to avoid the mess.
One guy looked like he jumped out of the stands. Michael Craig out in front, though, wisely negotiates around Dugmore.
Now the story here is Jeff Emig. Keep in mind our other 2 title contenders, Ryan Hughes and Damon Huffman, are running well back in the top 10 right now. So Emig looking pretty good, even if he cannot touch Michael Craig on the Honda.
Michael Craig really feels he's in a zone right now after the successful trip last weekend and the weekend before. He's got this 97 engine that's just cranking it out. He really feels good with it. There is a lack of appearance money, start money, on the World Supercross Series. Woo, Michael Craig almost doing a little toe dance there. But Michael Craig could leave this weekend with a good pot of gold should he maintain this pace.
Here's where the engine works really well, Art. This short left-hand turn and then a big jump, and he just powers it. Takes the tabletop as well in one swell swoop.
A lot of the riders having to hit the top of that table and then come off, and valuable seconds lost in that particular move, that's for sure. Craig actually told me before the race started that he was going to win it. That he felt that good. I didn't believe him at the time, but I do now. Sebastian Tortelli, the Frenchman, moving into third around Jimmy Button, number 36. John Dowd, number 14, is currently 1 position behind Button.
Well, I hope we get a look at Tortelli again. He has an interesting riding style, way forward on the bike, well out over the handlebars. It really works for him.
Michael Craig, of course, breaking onto the big media scene when he interrupted Jeremy McGrath's streak several years ago at the Tampa Supercross. And it really opened the eyes to some of the factories for Michael Craig. He got a shot then with Yamaha when Bradshaw retired. It was this young man that took Bradshaw's place on Team Yamaha. Things didn't work out there at all. And now he's with Honda of Troy, and that's a good marriage for the two.
If you look back, one of the lappers, actually it was a pretty good move for that lapper to take a look back at midair over the start-finish jump. The leader, Michael Craig, coming through.
That was Fabre, who qualified for the main event coming out of the last chance qualifier, so he knows his place anyway. Getting out of the way of Michael Craig, who is just cruising with tremendous horsepower. There once again, another graphic example of how he's picking up time going over that tabletop.
There is Jeff Emig at the back of the picture. Michael Craig absolutely dominant in this final. Interesting because Ryan Hughes pretty much had the measure of Michael Craig in that first heat. Of course, Craig might have been riding a little conservatively, knowing he only had to finish in the top 3 to get to this main.
Now also be aware, those viewers who are just picking us up, that several top riders are not in this race here this evening. Larry Ward, who started out like a house of fire, like he always does on this World Supercross circuit, broke a leg and ankle while practicing at the Honda track in the United States, and he will have trouble getting ready for the opening season of the American AMA Supercross season. That was a very difficult thing to stomach, really. A broken femur and a broken ankle in the same accident. Steve Lampson and Jeremy McGrath choosing not to run here. Albertine with passport problems. Ezra Lusk, who had a very good start on his new Yamaha ride, is back at home nursing a very, very tender leg. He had a crash near the finish line jump in Paris and hit a pole and felt okay. Went to the hotel that night, Bob, and then the thing just ballooned up on him and turned blue, and it really looked ugly. So he's back there trying to get things underway and get ready for the American season.
Well, that really was a tough deal for Larry Ward because he raced so well early on. Second, first, and third. 3 podiums in the first 3 races, really looking strong. And as you mentioned, the injury appears to be fairly serious, and it jeopardizes at least the early portion of the '97 Supercross campaign for Larry Ward.
Jeff Emig, number 2, sizing up things before he approaches the 2 lappers between he and Michael Craig. Emig, the winner in the first race of this series at Fukuoka. Larry Ward winning the first race in Paris, round 2, when Greg Albertine went zooming off the track in the last turn before the checkered flag. That handed the trophy to Ward. And then in the next round, Huffman won, then McGrath won, and then Albertine. Let's see. Do we have another one now? Michael Craig is dominating this one with Emig in second. We'll be back.
What's the easiest way to access the world of online news?
Back to the main event in Geneva, Switzerland. Time running out for most of the other riders as this young man, number 15, Michael Craig, Honda of Troy, is just burning the track up. They go through the tunnel, hook around, and then go over the finish line jump.
Michael Craig has been dominant tonight, taking a whole shot. Ran conservatively in his heat, made sure he made the main, and he has been absolutely bulletproof since they dropped the gates in this one.
Boy, the performance of Michael Craig with his 97 Honda engine makes you want to believe if Jeremy McGrath gets things dialed in with his new bike from Team Honda, he'll be hard to beat next year.
Could be another Red Rider kind of year.
Of course, I know a guy named Roger DeCoster over at Team Suzuki and Roy Turner over at Team Kawasaki, and then a guy named McCarty at Yamaha is going to disagree with you, Bob.
Well, it was certainly an interesting year last year in motocross. A lot of surprise victories.
Number 2 just going through in second place, Jeff Emig. He's going to have a lot to say about it, I think. I think it's going to be a fabulous spectator year for American Supercross. There's Jimmy Button in 4th place. Tortelli now has moved back to 5th after he bobbled coming out of the whoops. So Tortelli trying to make his way back up into contention. Sebastian Tortelli, number 3. Has lots of promise. He's so young. He's taken the 125 World Motocross title. Wants to race a couple of races over in the Supercross before going back to defend that 125 World title.
Definitely a talent to keep an eye on in the future. Barely old enough to drive if he lived in the United States. A teenager right there. Great example of his comfort level on the bike. Bouncing that front wheel. Totally in control.
And of course, he holds the wishes of many of the fans here in Geneva who follow the French riders exclusively, but he's taken a pretty slow turn around there. I don't think he's all with it.
Yeah, he didn't go for the tabletop jump there. I'm a little surprised by that, because look at the air he gets right here. He may just be tiring a little bit. Keep in mind, he's not all that experienced, and he's had a long season as well. He may be tiring just a little bit.
There are a couple of European 125 riders, Villeman and Roncada. Now, Villeman is going to come over to the United States and run the whole season with Chaparral. Roncada has been signed with Honda of Troy. These youngsters wanting to get a big jump in American Supercross before really making their mark here in Europe.
They're going with some strong privateer teams, and they could be heard from in 125 racing, particularly with that new format they're going to use next year, separating the East and West divisions in Supercross with only one meeting between the two series.
That becoming Las Vegas. Number 15, Michael Craig, our runaway leader here in the first round at Geneva, round number 6 of our series. Let's get back to the independent teams, Bob, because I think this is really the future of the sport. You've got the factory teams, but much like NASCAR, when it started to expand beyond the factory teams and get those independent teams in there, independent sponsors, that's when it really exploded as a fan vehicle.
Well, no question about it, Art. When the factories are controlling all the technology, that means you have the same winners over and over again, and that makes it very tough for the privateer teams who need that success in order to get sponsorship. But when you've got that technology being passed around, a lot of different faces on the podium, a lot of manufacturers getting airtime, I think it benefits the whole series.
That's what I think is happening, too. Chaparral, for instance, has a deal with Yamaha for their factory support. Larry Brooks, their team manager there. And that'll provide a lot of jobs rider-wise. Pro Circuit has their deal with Kawasaki. Honda of Troy, of course, they get their parts and machines from Honda. And Final Impulse is an enterprising independent team in America using Hondas. Right now, Michael Craig is doing Honda of Troy proud, as he could become the second Honda of Troy rider in this series. Larry Ward, of course, the first one, winning in Paris. You know, Bob, and I almost forgot, number 100 isn't here today, but he started the series in Japan, Fukuoka. That's Mike Kudrowski, signed by Honda of Troy.
We shouldn't forget that Mike Kudrowski started with Honda before going to Kawasaki, one of the great believers in fitness in racing, and he'll have a lot of experience to bring to his teammates. Championships for Kawasaki and Honda last year, Yamaha and Suzuki looking good. It's going to be a great year, I think.
That's very important. He can use those consulting skills he used last year with the Kawasaki team for the youngsters at Honda of Troy. Michael Craig, our runaway leader. Jeff Emig trying to nail down a championship.
Tired of waiting hours for one priceless sports moment? You Bush League athletes, you'll have to see to believe. It's the best video value anywhere. And if you don't agree, we'll double your money back. Guaranteed. If you like your sports over the top, call now to get the totally incredible sports collection. 7 knockout videos for only $19.97. No other collection gives you more laughs, more gas, more bang for your buck. So drop what you're doing, put your fingers in motion, and call now.
Get your credit card and call 1-800-659-1881 to get the totally incredible sports collection for you or your favorite sports fan. 7 wild videos, a more than $100 value for just $19.97, and a double your money back guarantee. 1-800-659-1881.
Welcome back toward the end of the race, round 6 of our World Supercross Series from Geneva. Number 15 just cooling it around the track right now. He's got such a big lead on Jeff Emig. And Emig, of course, he's not wanting to challenge because he wants to nail down the overall championship. It's going to be interesting if we have a series with no double winners in it. Michael Craig becomes the 6th winner in 6 races of the series. And that's kind of passing the basket around, isn't it?
It is that, Art, but I want to tell you, Michael Craig is so confident, he almost came to a stop there. Gave a big thumbs up to the crowd, a little fan salute wheel stand. Jeff Emig in 2nd place, and it looks like Damon Huffman is going to drop out of the battle for the championship. Ryan Hughes has come up and is running in 3rd place right now. That means it'll be Emig and Hughes with 1 race to go.
Big crowd favorite. Tortelli was in 3rd and faded back after having trouble in and out of the whoops, but the gutsy, the gritty, number 9, Ryan Hughes, you never can count him out, no matter how many times he hits the deck or has problems. Michael Craig, the checkered flag.
A dominant performance here from Michael Craig. I'm not sure how he did it. He looked good. Big fan salute, laying it out there.
Jeff Emig taking number 2. And it looks like Hughes, yes, it'll be Hughes in 3rd. As the crowd already starting to move out of the stands, they're invited to come on down to the track to celebrate the trophy presentation. That's Tortelli coming across. He's, of course, disappointed with his performance. But Michael Craig saying hi to all the fans. Craig, Emig, and Hughes on the podium with John Dowd up in 4th. Tortelli slipping to a 5th spot. Jimmy Button hanging on after that bout with food poisoning. He had a credible performance. Brian Swank in the top 10. There's Johnny O'Mara congratulating Michael Craig. It was O'Mara and Bailey back in the 80s that really got this series going.
Former champion congratulating Michael Craig on a dominant performance, leading from hole shot to checkered flag.
Well, his prediction came true. He came up and said, Art, I'm going to win tonight. As we take a look at after 6 rounds, it's Jeff Emig with a 13-point advantage over Ryan Hughes with 1 race left in the books. Can anyone, though, win 2 races in this series? And the other question that remains, can Emig capture his 2nd title of 1996? Those answers will be coming up after tomorrow night's action. What a big boost this could be from Michael Craig, Bob, as he has really done well. It looks like he's peaking really for the start of the American season.
Well, you mentioned, Art, we've had 6 different winners at as many races, but certainly the prospect of a 7th winner in our next and final round. We've also had very different podiums at each race. The scoring has definitely been scattered. No telling whether Jeff Emig or Ryan Hughes will come away with the championship.
And they call him Lulu in Europe. He's the public address announcer we see there, announcing Jeff Emig, Ryan Hughes in 3rd place. Ryan, I know, is very disappointed he hasn't gotten that top spot up where Michael Craig is standing right now yet. And look out for him tomorrow night in the final round.
Well, he certainly knows what he has to do. Get ahead of Ryan Hughes and put a few places between himself and Hughes to cop the championship.
Well, can Emig secure his 2nd title of 1996? That final round from Geneva will be coming up also on ESPN2. That's Sunday the 29th, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Time to open the champagne bottles.
Like everything else that happens in World Supercross, it is a spectacle.
Ryan Hughes showing Michael Craig how to do it. He was just kidding him, of course. Michael Craig's been there before. They even make the champagne toss a spectacular item here in Europe. We're about ready to leave you. We want to show you some of the exciting elements coming from the 125 action, as well as the entertainment happenings that surrounded round 6.